Hadley, of course, there was a controversial start to the summit only yesterday with some of the attacks leveled at Germany. And then, of course, President Trump later on in the day tweeted that not only do NATO members need to reach that 2% spending target, they also should aim for a 4% spending target.
Jemana, the president talks and then he tweets again, already tweeting this morning on the second day of NATO talks about Germany once again slamming them for not spending enough in terms of defense spending, but also in terms of the fact that he's very, very worried. It seems that the NATO alliance is under threat because he thinks that this pipeline, this Nord 2 pipeline, is not secure and that the Germans should not be paying the Russians at this point. Now, another question, of course, will be how much they actually are able to get done over the next few hours because, of course, as you know, the U.S. president will head to London this afternoon. Earlier today, the French president weighed in. Let's listen in.
Yesterday's working meetings on a range of subjects went very well. We're going to continue that work this morning, but in a far more peaceful atmosphere than has been said, and with a will to stay united, to modernise, to react to new threats that we've suffered from in recent years. So let's carry on calmly and tenaciously. I believe it's what we owe our armed forces, because whichever operations they're deployed to, they work so well in that very spirit.
The French president there basically saying the NATO allies are seeking to remain united and they're going to be speaking about everything on the agenda quite calmly and in a calm atmosphere. But of course, the big question going forward is what all this will mean for the U.S. president as he heads to Helsinki to meet with Vladimir Putin next week.
Exactly, Hadley. That seems to be the big question as well, because we're also forgetting that he's got this big meeting coming up with President Putin, also their first meeting next week on Monday, and of course you're going to be there as well. I just wonder whether the other NATO allies are also looking at this meeting and wondering what type of language is going to come out of President Trump vis-a-vis Crimea.
Oh, absolutely. Whether or not the status quo on Crimea will be maintained. One of the things that's also no doubt going to be on that agenda is the situation in Syria and what to do about that. And of course, if you take a step back and think about what the Russian president has been up to over the last couple of days, while this NATO summit has been grabbing all the headlines, he met with Netanyahu in Moscow, and he also met with an envoy of the Ayatollah from Iran. So, you know, this isn't something that is happening in a vacuum, and you've got to wonder what the Russian president is really thinking at this point. If he may just be sitting back and laughing, because at the end of the day, think about how this is going to play. Whatever happens at this Helsinki meeting, you know, their president is going to be criticized for it or lauded, but the Russian president, he's going to be sitting pretty, Jemana.
Absolutely, and of course, one last question actually I want to bring up is that this concept of 4% defense spending target. The U.S. themselves are not spending 4%; they're spending closer to 3.5% here. So I just wonder where that number came from.
Your guess is as good as mine. But I think that that's something that with much of what the president says and tweets is open to interpretation, and certainly something that I've been saying all along this morning is you have to remember that the president is also always thinking and tweeting to his base of supporters, the people that elected him, and certainly this plays well with them at home. Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.